I have a theory for the analytical writing assessment of the GRE and the GMAT. And my theory is that most people can get a score of 5 out of 6 just by following 2 simple ideas. And that's what this video is going to cover. What are those 2 concepts? Clean writing and clear ideas. And people underestimate this so much, and I see it all the time. I often get my students to do draft essays, and I can see what's wrong and why they're often scoring 4s or even 4.5. The average score, by the way, of the analytical writing assessment is about 4.2, way below what I think most people can achieve, which is 5 or 5.5. I achieved a 6 out of 6 for the AWA for my GMAT exam and a 5.5 for my GRE, just by following these 2 ideas. I barely prepared at all for those 2 assessments. I'm pretty sure I could have got 6 out of 6 for both if I put in a little bit more prep. So what do I mean by clean writing? What most people do is they type until the very last moment of the 30 minutes they have for each essay. And what ends up happening is their writing is full of typos, repeated words, missing words, unclear grammar. They did not leave themselves any time or enough time to proofread their work. What I did different to most students, the vast majority, is I left myself 5 minutes at the end of each of my essays dedicated purely to rereading and correcting the typos, spelling mistakes, grammar errors, repeated words, missing words, and all the other things that can go wrong when you're rushing your ideas out. Sometimes it could be as small as writing the word "the" twice. Other times, at a key point in your argument, you replace one word with another and now it doesn't make any sense. Everyone does it. The best writers among us do it all the time. So what do? We always leave ourselves 5 to 6 minutes at the end of the AWA section to go back and slowly proofread, reading in your head maybe, the essay to check for all those different type of errors. I bet you'll count at least 5 and probably 10 errors that you made. Now, a lot of you will be agreeing with this and saying, Philip, this is wise advice. But some of you will be thinking, I thought the essay tested your thoughts, not your grammar so much. Well, first of all, it tests both. And second of all, even your thoughts can become clouded by lots of errors. If you swap a keyword out or you repeated yourself at a key section, even your thoughts become unclear because of your bad grammar or bad syntax. Maybe you got halfway through a thought and then didn't finish it off and then moved on to the next paragraph. When you reread that unfinished paragraph, you'll go, oh, what I meant to say was da 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 da, and you'll finish off your point. And the writing suddenly becomes a lot cleaner. Also, I have a theory that the people marking these essays, who usually only take 1 to 2 minutes to mark an entire essay, get really annoyed by those niggly errors, especially in the first sentence or the first 2 or 3 sentences. So especially avoid any errors in those first 1 to 2 sentences. If the first thing you read as an examiner is someone misspelling a word or writing the word "the" twice, you're just going to think, okay, this person didn't put much effort into it, let's give him a lower mark. Just like in other areas of life, you want to make a good impression with clean writing, especially in your first paragraph, but ideally throughout. Yes, this means you might not have time to write an extra sentence or 2 that you could have written, but it's well worth spending that extra time to go through and do all the things I just said. If you've written a word, by the way, and you're not sure if you spelled it correctly, just replace that word for a different word, a word which you do know how to spell. You don't have to necessarily catch every single mistake. They do allow for minor errors with a score of 5 or 5.5, but you want to minimize the number of errors as much as possible. Maybe you noticed that you started 5 sentences with however, and you can change some of those however into different words, or get rid of them entirely. Maybe you noticed that all of your sentences were really short and it's time that you made one of the sentences much longer, or you joined together two sentences. All these things you can spot in hindsight by proofreading much better than you can while you're writing. Okay, I think I've made my point clear. Stop at about minute 24 or 25 and go back and proofread your work. Of course, you can finish off the sentence you were working on in your conclusion, but leave yourself a minimum of 4 to 5 minutes to proofread your work. Now, what about the second key concept? Clear ideas. Back to my theory that most people can score a 5 or above with a bit of preparation. Let's look at the mark scheme for a score of 5 for the GRE. Pretty much exactly the same thing applies to the GMAT AWA too. Notice how often the mark scheme emphasizes clarity, clearness, being organized and focused. How can we take advantage of that? Instead of going with 5 ideas that you're blabbing out because they were the first thing that came to your mind, limit yourself to 3 or 4 clearer, simpler ideas. Stick to things that you think are common sense, that most people would agree with. Be reasonable, give examples, discuss things as if you were having a chat with a teacher or a professor. And most of all, make sure you understand what you're trying to say before you write it down. If you don't understand what you're really trying to say and what your argument is, no one else can possibly understand what you're trying to say. So get things clear in your head, even if that means taking a bit more time, and then express those ideas with that clarity. When that mark scheme says focused, they want you to stick to the point. Begin an idea, flesh it out, and then finish it off. Stick to the point you're making, and then do a new paragraph with a new idea. In a moment, I'm going to analyze a lower scoring response, one that got a score of 3 from the official ETS website, because these are the kind of responses I see too often with my students. But I genuinely believe that if everyone followed those 2 techniques, then a score of 5 is within reach for the vast majority of students. I know this video wasn't super technical because I just wanted to, in a relatively short video, convey the 2 main things that most students get wrong. They don't have clean writing and they don't use enough clear ideas. If you've just taken on board that one message, then I've done my task. And of course, if you did take it on board, leave a like, leave a comment, and leave a question. Time to analyze a substandard response. This is a GRE AWA Analyze an Issue essay question. As people rely more and more on technology to solve problems, the ability of humans to think for themselves will surely deteriorate. Discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with the statement and explain your reasoning for the position you take. In developing and supporting your position, you should consider ways in which the statement might or might not hold true and explain how these considerations shape your position. This essay got a score of 3, and let's imagine we had just 4 or 5 minutes to proofread it before it was submitted to improve it. How many improvements could we make? In fact, you might want to pause the video, give yourself 5 or 6 minutes to make some improvements or spot the errors and see if you find as many as I can. But I'm going to get started. There is no current proof that advancing technology will deteriorate the ability of humans to think. Okay? On the contrary, advancements, I think it means advances, in technology had advanced our vast knowledge in many fields. The person meant have. They are still advancing, so they have advanced our vast knowledge in many fields, opening opportunities for further understanding and achievement. Not very clear, because understanding and achievement by whom? But okay, we'll leave that. For example, the problem of debilitating, spelt wrong, illnesses and diseases such as Alzheimer's, capital A, disease, Is slowing being solved? They meant to say is slowly being solved, not slowing. Is slowing being solved by the technological advancements in stem cell research? The future ability of growing new brain cells, that's suggesting that it's the ability of the brain cells, not our ability to grow brain cells. It's not the brain cells that have the ability. So it's not a clearly thought through idea. The future ability of growing new brain cells and the possibility to reverse, they mean of reversing, but anyway, the possibility to reverse the onset of Alzheimer's is now becoming a reality. This shows our initiative as humans to better our health demonstrates greater ability of humans to think. There was no and. They meant to say and demonstrates. This shows our initiative and demonstrates the greater ability of humans to think. So there's issues with the grammar there, but there's also issues with what they're trying to say. It's not clearly thought through, is it? What's their actual point? It shows our initiative to better our health and the greater ability of humans to think. The greater ability compared to other animals, or compared to what? The thought isn't finished. So that's not a clear idea and it's not clean grammar. The person needs to stop and think, what am I actually trying to say? And can I say it more clearly? One aspect where, an aspect is not a location, so we don't use the word where. One aspect where the ability of humans may initially be seen as an example of deteriorating minds. The ability of humans is seen as an example of deteriorating minds. That's not a clear thought. Our ability is not an example of our minds deteriorating. Is the use of internet and cell phones. In the past, comma, after in the past, humans had to seek out information in many different environments. Spelt wrong. There should be an N after the O, environments, and aspects of life. Now humans can sit in a chair. That doesn't make sense. Plural humans wouldn't sit in one chair. It should be now a human can sit in a chair, or now humans can sit in chairs, but not humans plural in one chair. Subject-verb agreement. And type anything into a computer and get an answer. Our reliance on this type of technology can be detrimental if not regulated. I think they meant to say if it is not regulated. And regularly, that's spelt wrong, regularly, I think they mean, substituted for other information sources such as human interactions and hands-on learning. There should be a hyphen with hands-on. Those two words belong together, hands-on. I think if humans understand that we should not have such a reliance on computer technology, we as a species, not that we as a species, that's another mistake, we as a species will advance further by utilizing the opportunity of computer technology as well as the other sources of information outside of a computer. Supplementing our knowledge with internet access is surely a way for technology to solve problems while continually advancing the human race. So aside from the grammar issues, do you notice that the person doesn't really flesh out many examples? There aren't 3 or 4 clear ideas separated by paragraphs. It's just a stream of consciousness that doesn't really make sense. The grammar issues make it even more confusing. So if we had proofread this and improved the grammar and finished off some of those thoughts, we could have at least got a 4 or 4.5. However, if the person had had some clearer ideas and maybe an extra paragraph or 2, they could have got a 5, 5.5 or higher. I hope this example illustrated the point I was trying to make, which is the clarity of your ideas is just as important as the cleanness of your writing. Thank you as always for watching and have a brilliant day.